Hmm. Tell me, man, what question?
Ma'am,
Tell me, man,
suppose
what question?
yes, ma'am. I have suppose I have just, find the element on the website and Amazon uh, with like a phone price. Okay, ma'am.
Huh?
And phone price,
Phone.
phone price.
Phone price. Okay.
Yes. And daily second one is next day is change and next day is change, next day is change. So how can I
Yeah, I'm not
find?
able to hear you, man. I'm not able to hear you. Whatever question you have, we'll discuss later. We'll look at the screen. I'm not able to hear you, man. Your voice is breaking. Okay, I'll answer to your question later. Now look at the screen. Let me start the class. Later, I'll start your thing. Now look at my screen, everyone. I hope everybody joined. Okay, I hope everybody joined. Look at my screen, everyone. So now we have done the structure. So everybody understood structure. What is maven? Why were we going maven? Everybody understood. Everybody's created Illa. Everybody understood. Everybody. Okay. Now look at my screen. Look at my screen. Let me make it out. Steps to add property file to the project. Steps to add. Steps to add property file to the project. Steps to add property file to the project. No repeating of structure. It is done yesterday very slowly and neatly, and we have all done it. No repetition will be done for anything. Steps to add. Steps to add property file to the project. Okay, look at my screen. Right click on the project. Right click on the project. Right click on the project. Everybody do it along with me. Right click or write it and do it. Right click on the project. New file. Understand neatly. Look at my screen, observe it and write. No repetition will be done. Right click on the project. 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 New. Click on file. Right click on the project. New. Click on file. Name it as data.properties. Name it as data.properties. Name it as data.properties. Name it as data.properties. Name it as data.properties and click on finish. Name it as data.property and click on finish. Name it as data.property and click on finish. Name it as data.property and click on finish. Name it as data.properties and click on finish. Okay. Now inside this store the data. Okay. Inside this you can store the data depending on our thing. We will store the data. Okay. So everybody created a property file. Everybody create a property file.
Okay.
Now copy this data dot properties. Copy this. Everybody look at my screen, observe carefully and do. Copy this data dot property and paste it on SRC test resources. What you have to do? Copy this data dot property and paste it on SRC test resources. Are you able to see this SRC test resources? Paste it here. You can ask me a question. Can we directly create here? 100% you can directly create here. But for few of them it will restrict. Not for everyone would not be able to create it directly. For few of them it will be restricting. So that's the reason. So you copy paste it. That's the reason you copy paste it. Okay? Understood everyone? Copy this data. Listen. You guys are not listening. Copy this data.property file and paste it on SRC test resources. Copy from here, paste it here. After pasting, delete this. We don't want this. Okay? After pasting it, you can delete this. Okay? That means the data.property file should be only under SRC test resources. Data.property file should be present only in SRC test resources. Everybody copy paste it. Finished? That's all. Now look at my screen. Let's start working on the steps. Let's start working on the now look at my screen. Step number one. Step number one. Okay. So step number one is we create an interface. We create the interface. Okay. And store all the constants. We create an interface and store all the constants such as property file path, and photo path and photo path. Okay, so what we're going to do is step number one, we create an interface. We create an interface and store all the constants. Store all the constants such as what? Property file path and photo path. Okay, first understood what we are going to do? Step number one, we are going to create an interface and we are going to store constants such as what? Property file and photo path, because this is constant which will never change. Okay, copy down this. Okay, now look at my screen. Before that, we have to create one photo path. Okay, make a note. Steps to create the photo path. Steps to create a photo path. Look at my screen. If you sleep for 2 minutes, you will not understand. Observe carefully. Steps to create the photo path. Steps to create a photo path. Right click on the project, new folder. Right click on the project. Do it along with me only. Right click on the project. Right click on the project. Right click on the project. New. Right click on the project. New. Right click on the project. New. Click on the folder. Click on the folder. Name it as photo. Right click. New. Click on the folder. Name it as photo. Click on finish. Done. Have you created a photo folder? Have you all created a photo folder? Right click, new folder and name it as photo. Right click, new, click on file and name it as folder. Clear? Clear? Okay, super. Now look at my screen. Look at my screen, everyone. Look at my screen, everyone. Okay. Step number 1. Look at my screen. Make a note neatly. Make a note. Right click. See, we'll be working only on this folder as of today. Okay. Right click on src main Java. Right neatly. Observe slowly. You make a note. Right click on src main Java. New. Click on the interface. Right click on src main Java. 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 New, click on the interface. New, click on the interface. New, click on the interface. Okay, click on the interface. Right click on it. Okay, now specify the package name as. Look at my screen. Specify the package name as, or specify the package name as generic. Specify the package name as generic libraries, or you can write it as general library. Specify the package name as generic or general library. Generic only will keep. Specify the package name as generic library. Specify the name as auto constant. Specify the package name as generic library and name as auto constant. Specify the name as auto constant. Okay, done. Then specify the package name as generic library and specify the name as auto constant and click on finish and click on finish. Okay, so everybody understood how to create an interface. Everybody understood how to create an interface. Hello. Okay. Now, as per, look at my screen, don't do anything, look at the screen. So why were we using interface? We're going to store an interface because to keep all the constants such as property file and photo path, to keep the property file and photo path. String property file path, string property file path. So how to write the property file path? Where is a property file? Observe carefully, understand every a single word and write it. So where is your property file? Your property file is under src test resources. Under this your property file is there, isn't it? Everybody agrees? Where is the property file? It is present under where? SRC test resources, correct? Now you write SRC slash test slash resources. Resources slash, look at the spellings. Okay, everything neatly you make a note. Okay. So SRC, so current project, what dot indicates? It's a current Java project. So you know already what's the meaning of dot. So instead of writing as e-commerce skill ready application, you can just make it as what? Dot. Okay. Instead of writing complete project name, shortcut is what? Dot slash SRC test resources. Inside that we have this data dot property file. Everybody's clear? Everybody's clear? Photo path. Where is the photo path? Current project slash with the name of this is photo. With the name of this is photo. See, my photo P is small letter. If you use capital letter, use that. So look at this and write. So everybody understood the step number one? Everybody understood the step number one? Please do it. Understand and you do it. Don't copy paste it. Do it, understand and do it. Start doing. Okay. Somebody has asked me one question. Why is this slash after photo? Why is that floor? Because the photo path is incomplete. The photo path is incomplete. Still there is yet to come. Okay. So slash and we are keeping quiet. Okay. This we are latching to the next program. So we are just keeping it slash because we'll be latching that to the next one because this is not a complete path. So that's the reason I just kept in slash and we are stopping it here. Okay. So everybody done? Everybody understood? Okay. So please don't copy paste it. Understand and do it. Step number 2. Look at my screen. Okay. Step number 2. Step number 2. Look at my screen, everyone. Step number 2. Oh, sorry, Papa. Oh, 1 second. Uh, Step number 2. Oh, 1 second. Step number 2. Okay. We should we should start writing along with me. We should never hard code the data. We should never hard code the data. We need to read the data from external resources. Okay, please look at my screen. I'll give you an example. In the test case number 1, let's assume there is some set of data. In test case number 2, there is some set of data. In the test case number 3, there is some set of data. And so on goes to test case number 100. Okay. For example, in every test cases, okay, listen, for every test cases, you need to enter username, URL, password. Yes or no? For every test case, you need to enter URL, username and password. Isn't it? For every test case, yes, you need to enter user URL, username and password. Isn't it? Correct, right? Now, if you look at the screen, URL, username, password. URL, username, password. So all these things, okay, URL, username, password is the repetitive in all the test cases, yes or no? Because first you have to log into the application, then only you can start performing the operation, isn't it? First you have to log in, then only you can start performing the operation, isn't it? So if you look at this in all the test cases, URL, username, password. URL, username, password is a repetitive process. URL, username, and password is the repetitive process. Now what we will do is, we'll create one class. We will write a generic method. What are we writing? We are writing one generic method to read the data, because every time in all the test cases I cannot write properties p is equals to new property, file input stream is equals to new file input stream, p dot load, p dot get data, properties p is equals to new property, file input stream is equals to new file input stream. P dot load, P dot get property. So can I write like this in all the test cases? So 4 into 100 lines of the code, 4 into 100 test cases. 400 lines of the code is a repetitive process. Yes or no? Everybody agrees? 4 lines, 100 test cases. 400 lines of the code is a repetitive process. So instead of write, can I write it one time? Can I write it one time? Properties P is equals to new properties. File input stream is equals to new file input stream. P dot load. Can I write it one time and can I extend it to all the classes? Can I write it one time and can I extend it to all the classes? Okay, so we should never hardcode the data. We should read the data from the external sources. So we write generic method. We write a generic method to read the data. Okay, we write what? We write a generic method to read the data and and extend it to the test classes. Okay, make a note. Finished? Finished? Okay. Now look at my screen. Look at my screen. Neatly observe. It's the same thing. Just let me tell you one thing. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Okay. Now look at my screen. Right click on generic libraries. Right click on generic libraries. Right click on generic libraries. New. Create a class. Right click on generic libraries. Right click on generic libraries. Right click on generic libraries, new, create a class. Right click on generic libraries, right click on generic libraries, new, create a class. Right click on generic library, new, create a class. Okay, name this as property file data. Okay, name it as property file only. Name it as property file. Name it as property file. Click on finish. Name it as property file. Click on finish. Understood everyone till here? Understood everyone till here? Same old story. How do you read the data from the property file? How do you read the data from the property file? Same old story. Get property data. Same old story. Look at here. Step number 1. Create a object for create an object for property. Same old story. Nothing is new. Properties P is equals to new property. New properties. Okay. p dot next file input stream. FIS is equals to new file input stream. Okay, now I need to pass it. So already path is written. Yes or no? Is already path is written. Where is that path is written? Where is that path written? This where is the path of file input stream? Where is it written? Inside the auto constant. Call it auto constant dot property file path. Call it. Already written, no. This will throw you an exception. Throw that exception. Next. Next. What's the next code? P dot load. FIS. Throw the exception. Throw the exception. Next. P dot get property. P dot get property. So which property file? No hard coding. Pass it as a parameter. Pass it as a parameter. You know this code, isn't it? Pass it as a parameter. You should not hard coding. Pass it as a parameter. Everybody know this one. Yes or no? Don't you know this code? Write it down. This is a generic method. Make a note. Neatly understand and do. Don't copy paste it. Start doing. Done? Done? What to tell? What to tell? Please ping me. I lost your message. What to tell? Why are we passing as a parameter? We are not hard coding. This is a generic method. I told you, right? I explained you with a diagram. So this is generic method. What data to pass it? What data to pass it? I don't know as of now. Okay. So I am just passing as a parameter. So when I use it in my program, what data I need to pass, I will pass it. Okay. As of now, I pass it as a parameter to the method. Clear? You have to pass as a, this code is already done. We have taught you, you have already written. There is nothing new I'm teaching here. Okay. Now look here. This return type is string. Everybody look here. Return type is string. So change it from void to string. Void to string and add the return statement. I'll repeat again. So here the return type is void. From void you change it to string. You change it to string and add the return statement. Everybody add it. Change the return type to string and add the return statement because it is returning me the data in the form of string. So change the string and add the return statement. Done? Everybody done? Everybody done? There's nothing new here. Nothing new you're learning. Same thing you're writing in an organized fashion. Okay? Now look at my screen. Step number 3. Look at my screen. Step number 3. Look at my screen, everyone. Step number 3. Step number 3. Now, step number 3. Look at the screen. Guys, if you consider in all the test cases, let's assume there is one test case number 1. Oh, 1 second, wait, this is not writing. Okay, this is test case number 1. This is test case number 2. Test case number 3. Like this, you have so many test cases, okay? So what you are writing in all the test cases, every time you need to open the browser, close the browser, correct? Every time you need to, because whenever you want to perform any operation, you have to open the browser, perform the operation, close the browser. Okay, open the browser, perform all the operation, close the browser. Open the browser, perform all the operation, close the browser. Yes or no? Yes or no? Open the browser, perform all the operation, close it. Open it, perform all the operation, close it. Correct, right? So instead of doing this, can I write opening of the browser? Can I write opening of the browser and the closing of the browser one time, and can I extend it to all the classes? Can I write it one time and can I extend it to all the classes? Yes. So step number 3 is every time we need to open the browser. Every time we need to open the browser, open the browser and close the browser. Every time we need to open the browser and close the browser. Okay, every time we need to open the browser and close the browser. So we create a generic method. We create a generic method. To open and to close the browser, to open and close the browser and extend it to the test classes. Okay, do it. Done? Done? Now right click on generic libraries, new, create a class. Right click on generic library, new, create a class. Right click on generic library, new, create a class. Name it as step group. Look at the diagram what I have given. Name it as step group. Name it as step group. Name it as step group. Click on finish. So you already know how do you write it. Driver. Let me declare it globally. Public web driver. Let me import it. Let me create annotation before method. Annotation before method. Public void open app. Okay, let me import this. Okay, now what I need to write? I need to write it as driver equals to new Chrome driver of same story driver dot manage dot window dot maximize. Okay, next driver dot get, keep it as empty. What to do, I'll tell you. Keep it as empty as of now. Driver dot manage dot times out dot implicitly wait 10. So the syntax I'm changing. What is the reason of syntax changing? I'll tell you. Okay, just make a note first. I'll tell you the syntax. Time unit dot seconds. Why is this syntax change? I'll tell you. Okay, I'll tell you, just make a note. Next, annotation after method public void close app. So driver dot quit. So this program you already know. Yes or no? Every time you need to open the browser, close the browser. So let me write it as generic method to open the browser and close the browser. Yes or no? You already written this and you already know this. Yes or no? Yes, please make a note. Write it down. Done? Completed? Now look at my screen. Guys, okay. What is the use of quit method, close method? You know the difference. You know the difference between close and quit. Correct, right? So in our scenarios, we may use multiple tabs. So that's the reason we have used the quit here. Okay, we may use multiple tabs to close everything. We have used quit here. Now tell me, did we download? Everyone look at it. Did we download any driver executables here? Yes, have we downloaded any driver executables here? No. Correct, right? So, did we download any driver executables? No. Correct, right? Then how it will get to know? How it will get to know which browser I need to launch? How it will get to know which browser it should launch? Yes or no? So how it will know which browser it should launch? Yes or no? Correct, right? So what we have to do is we have added one dependency called as WebDriver Manager. You remember that? You remember that? We have added one dependency called as WebDriver Manager. Do you remember that? Now, what is the use of this WebDriver Manager? WebDriver Manager is a dependency which will take care. WebDriver Manager is a dependency which will take care of all the driver executables. Are you understanding? WebDriver Manager is a dependency which will take care of all the dependencies. Okay, so let me repeat. WebDriver Manager is a dependency which will take care of all the dependencies. Okay, now look at my screen. Now look at my screen. So for that, I have to write one code here. WebDriver Manager dot Chrome driver dot setup. So I need to write one code here. Okay, this will take. So since if you wanted to launch the Chrome driver, you can write Chrome driver. No, I want to launch the Firefox driver means you can make it as Firefox driver here. You can make it as Firefox driver dot setup. So whichever browser you want, that browser you can set up here. Okay. So now I will be using Chrome driver. So that is one driver executable. You can set up whichever browser you want it. Okay. So everybody write this down. Everybody understood why are we writing this piece of the code? Everybody understood why are we writing this piece of the code? Okay. Please make a note. Everybody write this. Finished? I latest version is asking many options. Yes, you have to add testng. First, you have to add testng library. Then only you will be able to import. Add testng library. Then only you will be able to import. Yes. Okay. Try sure. Okay. Everybody understood? Now, next question. You can ask me, Ma'am, why are you using this syntax? But you taught us in different syntax. Why are you using this? Correct, right? Guys, I was teaching the Selenium version number 4. You remember? I was teaching you Selenium version number 4. Yes or no? When I was teaching you normal Selenium class, Selenium version number 4 is to teach. But when I go to maven repository, in maven repository, the Selenium version 4 is still in alpha. Okay, still it is in alpha release. Look at my screen. Still this is in alpha release. They have not released this yet. They have not released this yet. Still it is in alpha version. So I'm using the version number 3. The syntax for the third version is, this is a syntax for the version number 3. Got it? Why am I using it here? Everybody got it? Alpha, beta, gamma that you have to learn in manual testing. That's a trial version. Alpha, beta means it's a trial version. They have not completely tested yet. Okay, now let me come back. Now tell me guys, what type of method is this? Is a static method? What type of method is this? Is a static method or a non-static method? Static method? No, no, it's a non-static method. What it is? It's a non-static method. So how do you access non-static method? By creating an object, correct? How do you access non-static method? By creating an object. Yes or no? Yes. So we are going to access it by creating a object. Now what I will do, I'm going to create it here globally because I wanted to use that again and again. So what is the name of the class? Property file p data is equals to new property file path. Now everybody create an object of that class. Everybody create an object of the class first. Done? Now call that. Now we have to store the data. Correct, right? Let me go to my data.property file, store the URL. Okay. Guys, you can take any application your own choice. I'm taking this application because all the elements I can teach you. I can teach you how to handle drop down, I can teach you scroll bar, I can teach you mouse over, everything. So that's the reason I'm taking this application. You can take any application of your own choice. Okay, now everybody go and store the URL. Now everybody go and store the URL. Everybody go store the URL. Done. Now let me go to this. Now let me call that method. Let me call that p data, the reference variable. Look at my screen, because it's a non-static method. P data dot get property file. Okay. Now here you write it as URL. Let me throw the exception. Okay. P data dot get property file. Call that method and store the URL. You have to write the URL in data.property file. Done. Roshni, you're sleeping. This you have to change it to string. Long back I've told you. If you guys are not concentrating, you'll 100% get errors. This you have to change it to string. It's not show to you first. You change it to string. Add the written type here. That's the reason you'll not get the errors there. Done. Okay. Next, let's go to the next step. If you guys are not concentrating, 100% will get errors. And this is not something new. This is something old only, but you're writing in an organized fashion. That's all. Now look at my screen. Step number 4. Step number 4 is when you take an application. When you take an application consists of so many elements. Correct, right? Drop down, mouse over, okay, right click, double click, yes or no? So that mouse over, right click, double click will be only one time, or it will have multiple drop downs application will have, or it will have only one drop downs. The application will have only one drop downs, or it will have multiple. It will have multiple. It will have multiple, isn't it? It will have multiple, isn't it? Okay. So now what we have to do is, we should manifest it. An application will consist of multiple web elements. Okay, the application will consist of multiple web elements such as drop down, mouse overs, frames, etc. So we create generic methods. So we create generic methods to handle them. Okay. So application will consist of multiple web elements such as what? Drop down, it will have multiple drop down, mouse over, it will have multiple mouse over. Okay. So we created generic methods to handle them. Finished writing? Finished writing? Finished writing? No. Let me create a class. Let me create a class and let me make it as WebDriver utilities. Let me click on finish. Now tell me guys, how do you handle the drop down? How do you handle the drop down? Everybody tell me, how do you handle the drop down? By using what? Select class. By using select class. By using select class. Correct, right? Now what I need to pass it here? Address of the drop down. But I don't know the address of the drop down. Correct, right? Pass it as a parameter. I don't know which drop down because I have not inspected any of the element now. Pass it as a parameter to the method. Pass it as a parameter to the method. Now, sorry, this is not WebDriver, this is web element. Web element. Okay, pass as a parameter. I don't know. Yes dot select by visible text. So which is a text here? I don't know. Pass it as the parameter. I don't know. Pass it as a parameter. Okay, so drop down. So how do you handle the drop down? So we handle the drop down using a select class, create an object and select by visible text. Next, public void. How do you handle the mouse over? How do you handle the mouse over? So how do you handle the mouse over, guys? With the help of actions class. So you're going to handle it with the help of what? Actions class. Okay, now what we have to do here? We have to write it as web driver, driver. Okay, so import it. How do you perform mouse over? A dot move to element. Which element? You don't know. Which element? We don't know. So pass it as the parameter. Are you understanding? Which element? As of now, I don't know because we have not inspected. Pass it as a parameter dot perform. Now, how do I perform right click? How do I perform right click? How do I perform right click? By using which method? By using context click of actions method. By using context click of action method. Now, let me write a dot context click dot perform. Okay. Next, I need to do double click. How do you perform double click? Public void double click. So how do I perform double click, guys? With the help of actions class. With the help of actions class, I'm going to do double click. With the help of what? Double click method. Okay. A dot double click dot perform. Start writing. Start writing. Start writing. Done? Done? Everybody finished? Everybody finished? No. Next, I want to perform drag and drop. I want to perform drag and drop. So how do you perform drag and drop? Same actions method. You're going to use a method called as drag and drop. Okay, source and destination. Source and destination. So here, web element. So you have to pass two parameters. One is web element src and one more is web element destination. Web element destination. Okay, now src destination dot perform. Okay, next, how do you handle the alert pop-up? Alert pop-up. How do you handle alert pop-up? A driver you wanted a driver. So let me write it as web driver driver dot manage dot driver dot switch to dot alert. If I want to click on OK, I use a method called as accept. Okay, now I need to switch to frame. Public void switch frame. How do I switch to frame? Web driver dot switch to dot frame index of 0. I need to switch back from the frame. Public void switch back frame. I need to switch back from the frame. So how do you switch back from the frame? Driver. For the driver, you need to pass it as a control. Driver dot switch to dot default content. Start writing. Start writing. Next, how do you handle scroll bar? Public void scroll bar. How do you handle scroll bar? With the help of JavaScript executor. Okay, so let me pass it as driver. Okay, JavaScript executor. Case is equals to driver. Okay, so let me import JavaScript executor. gs.execute script. gs.execute script. So here you have to write window dot scroll by. Okay, so here you have to write window dot scroll by x comma y. We have to just write x comma y. X comma y. Okay, pass it as a parameter. Int x comma int y. Okay, concatenate. You know what's the purpose of concatenation? Concatenate. Okay, next. Next. Public void. Switching tabs. How do you switch the tabs? With the help of get window handles. Now let me write it as driver dot get window handles. Store it inside one reference variable. The return type of this is child. Okay, now for child, let me store it inside one variable. Let me store it inside a variable. The return type of this is string. Now I'll write it as driver dot switch to dot window. Okay, that's all. Write this. This completes your WebDriver, this one. Let's continue in tomorrow's class. Write this, you can live. Write this, you can live. Guys, I told you, right, doubt clarification session, we are going to start at 11 o'clock. No, we will not do it at 11 o'clock. We will do it in the evening. I'll post the timings. We will not do it at 11 o'clock. Okay, I'll post the timings, what time we are going to do it. Okay, write this down. Okay, so design is not completed. No, code is not given to you guys. Code will be given to you. Code will be given to you only after completion. So Wednesday only will get the code. Okay, I'll not give you the code. Correct? Make a note and thank you. Bye bye. Let's catch up on Monday.